Hello everyone, I'm Captain Logan.
And I'm Vince.
And today we're going to do a commentary for you on the fourth episode of Batman the Animated Series, or at least the fourth one on the discs, and that is The Last Laugh. Now, we were doing these before as Rewind Lights, Superhero Rewind Light, where we would just come on screen for you and do off-the-cuff reviews. People were liking those, but a lot of folks were asking us, were saying that they would prefer this as commentaries. And given that our videos were hitting around the 15 to 17 minute mark and the episodes themselves are only 22 minutes, we decided that perhaps it would be worth switching over and doing these as commentaries. And so we're going to start posting these as audio commentary tracks like we do with movies. And so if you have these already, you can listen to our track while you're watching the episode. We will, as I always try to do, give you enough context where you could listen to this without watching the episode, and it would be more of a review or just a discussion about the episode where just whatever we're seeing will facilitate what we're talking about. And down the road, we will certainly try to start doing this with some other things as well. I think we're going to get through a bunch of Batman before we jump anyplace else, but I really want to do this with some other shows too, and this is a really good way, I think, Vince, for us to tackle some cartoon shows, some shorter stuff, without doing scripted reviews.
Just wait for our commentaries on Gilmore Girls, because I'm pretty sure you're going to like it.
That's not going to happen.
What?
Well, you can get somebody else for that if you want to. Vince.
Oh, okay.
But anyway, most of the time these shows are short enough that I kind of feel like if I did a scripted review, it would be all of like 5 minutes. And a lot of people have been really enjoying our commentaries, so we thought we would do these as commentaries now. So Vince, are you ready? Are you?
I'm ready.
Are you stoked for this today? Last Laugh. Now Vince and I watched this in preparation for a review a couple months ago, so we didn't just now watch this, but I think we both know this episode pretty well to talk about it intelligently. So let's go ahead and jump straight into it. If you are going to watch this with us, get out your DVDs or your Blu-rays, get it to the episode, get it past all the menus and everything, and get it to timestamp 0, and everybody please press play right now. So Vince, we're going to have to talk over this intro every single time.
Oh my goodness. You know, the thing that this intro reminds me of is the beginning of that show I used to watch back in the day named Batman. Oh wait, Batman the Animated Series. Let's be specific.
I think it's because it's Batman. I think that's the reason. I think you're being reminded of what it is, Vince. That's, yeah.
Oh, is that what they say?
Vince, do you have a favorite Batmobile?
I think it's probably this one.
Yeah?
Of course everyone likes, even if you don't like the 60s Batman, the 60s Batmobile is pretty darned awesome.
Yeah, my favorite is still 89. I think that's a second, and this is a close third.
Yeah, I like this one. I like this one a little bit more than the 89 one, because I like how angular this one.
Yeah, but the whole show's like that.
I think that's
architecture and vehicles.
You can see the Tim Burton influence in this show, but it's so much more of what I want Batman to be, and I don't know if that's because I grew up with this, but it's
or if it's a little more coherent storytelling wise, or
it's very sleek,
feels
it's
a
very
little more
streamlined,
down to earth, but also heightened.
That's kind of an interesting point that you just kind of inadvertently made. It's these shows are only 20 minutes, so they really have to drive at a point, in order to be good. And more often than not, they were pretty good. And then now the design is more sleek than what it's even based on. So you have this streamlined design, streamlined storylines. Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's really interesting. Sure, and they're just so efficient.
Mm-hmm.
The way that they tell their stories, they're always really simple, but then you feel like you got a full-blown story. I always feel like when people complain about how hard it is to tell a full-blown story in 22 pages in a comic book, I say go back to this show. Because isn't it interesting that comic books are 22 pages and these were 22 minutes? And if you think about a script, and if you think about comic books as storyboards,
a page
would be about a minute.
Yeah,
isn't that interesting? And this show did it almost every time. Effectively could tell an entire. Even the ones that aren't so great, you still didn't feel like there wasn't enough there for an episode most of the time, right?
I think that the key point that you eventually have to make with each one of these episodes is that you establish a situation, and then you have that situation reveal something about your main character, or your main character learns about it, or learns about himself through this situation. So it's interesting how the Wayne Manor kind of looks like it has bat ears.
The bat ears.
That's a little on the nose. I'm not saying I like it. I'm not saying I don't. I'm just saying
I think design-wise it's really cool, but it seems like if you were going to be Batman, the first thing you would do is maybe, I don't know, change that?
Hey guys, I'm Batman. No, you're not. No, seriously guys, I am Batman. No, sure you are. Where's your bat suit? It's in my cave.
You don't think I'm Batman? Ask my house.
Ask my house.
Alfred's a regular Amelia Bedelia. But yeah, like how prophetic is the architecture of that house? Like his father, and I would assume that this is a generational house, that a lot of Waynes lived in this house, and of course he came up with a bat. Not only were there bats in his cave, but also his house is shaped like one.
This is kind of an interesting thing. I realize I'm just jumping off, but they just turned on this radio. And what's interesting to me about this radio is that it's a very old-style looking radio. Which I suppose you could say that's because it's an old house and they have old stuff. But
also, a lot of things in the show look older.
Yeah, I would say it's a stylistic thing. And it's not like it didn't happen in current time or in the present time period for when it was made. But what's interesting about it is that it's almost like it's making a stylistic choice. It's making a choice to say, this is what Gotham City looks like, in not just architecture, but in in products that people have.
Yeah.
So it's kind of an interesting thing, and especially for Batman, because you have this guy who I guess Batman would represent the more traditional way of doing things, being a decent human being. And the Joker has this more extravagant, maybe a newer way of doing things, and he's evil. I don't know. I'm just...
By new, you mean maniacal and wrong?
Yeah. New, meaning not traditional by any means.
One of the things that I always thought this made the show work is how timeless it looks. We've talked about that, and I think that what you were just talking about goes really into that, right? Like this, part of the reason this show has permeated and will stick around well past its years and well past the technology of the time is that you can't really sink it in a time period. So you're not going to watch this and go, well, if they had cell phones, they wouldn't have done it this way, or if they had the internet, they wouldn't have done it this way. You know what I mean? Because it feels like it's timeless, like comic book continuities so often are. In that stuff that happened in 1945 could still have happened in 1992.
Yeah,
that's something that I think the show deliberately did, but at the same time, I think the aesthetic is also a throwback to the Fleischer cartoons.
That's fair,
and it's also a throwback to the period that Batman originated, which was also the same time as the Fleischer cartoons. Right. But isn't it interesting that the same Batman that originated in 1939 might have had that radio?
Yeah. I think I think everybody has either heard of or have seen the towns that are kind of locked in time. You know what I'm saying? Because there's a lot of small towns like this. There are some cities like this where you go there, you're like, this is a very old place.
I'm going to assume Jules R Us is a really discount jewelry store. I don't. That can't be an especially upscale sort of place.
I like the ridiculous size of this ring. This thing is huge. Bigger than your fist.
Also, here pretty soon, some of these mouths are going to get really creepy. Like they'll put people right up in the foreground that are laughing on the Joker gas, and they do a really good job in the show of finding ways to make things seem really terrifying, but being able to get away with it in a kid's show. Where, people don't die, but that's creepy!
Yeah, that was one big... I mean, the screen didn't even show his eyes, so there's almost something disturbing about just showing the mouth.
Yeah, absolutely.
Personally, I've always seen
the grotesqueness of smile, like when you think of smiles, you think happiness, you think contentment, but then there's this maniacal side of happiness too.
Yeah, here's two examples for you. I mean, you look at a movie like Rocky Horror Picture Show, where they have that mouth at the beginning. At least I think it's at the beginning, and that's really kind of unnerving, and you realize you're about to see something that's maybe a little sexy, maybe a little strange, maybe a little bit of both. And then you also have something that's not entirely different, the Rolling Stones logo with the lips and the tongue. And, there's something kind of grotesque about that. And I think they know that. I think that's the reason why they choose this, is because it's kind of a not so subtle, but still kind of subtle way of saying this isn't your dad's music.
And with this, of course,
or at least now I suppose it is. But
just the idea of having a clown in general, taking something that was usually thought of as and of course there's lots of evil clowns, but I mean, the Joker was arguably an early one. I think there were other early evil clowns back then, but I wonder if we would have as many evil clowns now if it weren't for the Joker. That's a thing.
Yeah, I wonder about that. I mean, of course, there's always been that opera idea of the sad
good
clown.
Call. Yeah.
So I wonder if,
and of course we talked about the man who laughs and that kind of stuff.
I mean, maybe these things just kind of are born out of each other. Like it's kind of
right.
You see like the sad clown, and then you see the mad clown, and then you see the crazy clown, and then you see the maniacal clown.
Yeah, and there's something like inherently interesting and inherently captivating in a thing that usually brings people joy used to diabolical ends.
Yeah.
And when you see something like that, it's more disturbing because you're making something scary that's not supposed to be. So that juxtaposition is not just creepy, but wrong, and that's kind of the stuff of horror in the first place, right?
Yeah.
You look at stuff, and I'm not saying this is the most effective example, but you look at stuff like a Child's Play, where, the reason Chucky is scary is because he's supposed to be an innocent, innocuous sort of thing.
Yeah. Or Village of the Damned, or Children of the Corn. You essentially
Pet Cemetery.
Pet Cemetery. I mean, you essentially have...
that's a terrible example.
You essentially have disturbing things intruding upon what we consider to be innocent.
This is great.
This kind of Looney Tunes double take.
Yeah, I just love that that Batman punches that and the periscope and it knocks Joker over. I think that's fun. Also, I wonder if there was. I'm sorry, what's that?
I think that's kind of cool.
Yeah, it's cool.
That's not something that people would commonly think of. I mean, of course, you could feel vibrations down it.
I can't look at the Joker here without imagining him on Mars. I just want to throw that out there, just in that dome head. Just like I'm really imagining him in space every time I see that. But anyway, I wonder if they intentionally, because I don't want to read too much into this. I wonder if they intentionally did the periscope thing and the submarine thing because of the 60s Batman movie, or if they weren't even thinking that when they did it.
Oh.
Because, the Joker was in that submarine, and there was a periscope, and they did use the periscope a lot.
He just jumped into the periscope. And it seems like a periscope that could be, I don't know, it's not particularly stout. It doesn't seem to be any bigger than the crowbars. So, I just kind of... I question it. I question its ability to not bend. Let your hair down, Batman. That's kind of a good line. Take your mask off and have a few laughs.
Yeah.
Kind of like let your hair down.
The Batboat looks really cool too. I like how all of Batman's vehicles have a particular look about them. Like they don't all. You've seen some continuities with Batman where every vehicle looks totally different from the last. Yeah. And I think it's kind of fun that all of his gadgets have a particular aesthetic to them, and all of his vehicles have that same a thing on the back that the fire shoots out of, you know what I mean? The gas thingy, whatever you call it. Why can't I think of the name of that? Anyway,
the engine, the jet engine. I don't know.
No, just the back of it. Whatever. Anyway,
the exhaust.
Yes, thank you. The exhaust. That's what I'm talking about. And 89 did the same thing, except they were different.
So for those of you who are watching, are saying, yes. Man, for those of you who have never seen this before, all 10 of you, so you're like, man, Captain Clown just did something really inhuman. Well,
that's because he is a robot.
Oh, shock and awe.
I think there's a lot of scary in this episode for the kind of thing it is.
Yeah.
I think Joker's whole plot is pretty diabolical. It's insane on the surface of it. It doesn't look like there's really any rhyme or reason to it. He's just doing things.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like the Heath Ledger Joker said in Dark Knight, he's just doing things, and that always makes it a little bit scarier because he's unpredictable. He doesn't seem to have a motive beyond just I like hurting people, and then they show you the last thing you expect to see, which is Joker actually trying to stab Batman with a very long pointy object.
Yeah,
through that thing. It's kind of, you know, when you're a kid, that's kind of scary. Yeah, I remember this when I was a kid, just thinking like, he's terrifying. That's great.
The violence in this is kind of real. I mean, of course, they're doing this as a way of looting Gotham, but that does seem like a secondary motive.
It does. It seems more like he's just enjoying the part about making people crazy.
Because why would they be spending so much time on this barge?
Well, and I think part of the thing that's really scary about the barge too is that they're kind of just traveling and letting that stuff go into the ether.
Yeah, you know, you could almost say that...
So, like, they don't mind who gets affected by it, regardless of the looting.
Yeah, as long as it's not them.
As long as it's not them.
You know, I almost wonder why Joker even wears a mask during this. Because I would assume he's immune to his own stuff.
That's interesting.
But
yeah, what would it do to him?
Yeah,
you gotta wonder. That's very interesting. I didn't think of that.
He just get a case of the giggles.
It wouldn't make him any more crazy than he is. He just wouldn't accomplish very much.
You know, I think this bat boat is not entirely dissimilar to. It took off such a chunk. He can really get into a small corner with that thing.
It's amazing he didn't get shot.
He's good at aiming, even though it took him a couple shots to hit it.
Wouldn't that be the most embarrassing way for Batman to go out?
He shot himself.
I shot myself with my own laser, with my boat laser. Batman dies by way of boat laser.
This boat reminds me a lot of the design of Tim Burton's Batmobile. A little bit more than this Batmobile.
Yeah. I always thought it was interesting that they went with these will give those April Fools. That's a great line. Is it April? Is it really April? Okay. But yeah, ooh, that Batarang is cool looking.
I think that's a bat shuriken even.
Yeah. Well, batarangs are basically shuriken, but you're right. Yeah. That's especially shuriken. But anyway, I always thought it was really interesting that, given that the reason the show got made was because of the success of the '89 Batman movie, and it keeps that theme, and it has a arguably somewhat similar aesthetic, but it goes its own way too. It's interesting that they even designed their own Batmobile.
Yeah,
you know, they could have easily just gone with the.
I wonder if this is just easier to animate.
Probably so, and. You mentioned earlier that it's angular, and the whole show is like that. That Batmobile was a lot more round. It looks like a torpedo in the front.
Yeah. And, you know, every time I think of the Tim Burton Batmobile, I always think of the, I don't know, McDonald's or Burger King toy or whatever it was that came out not too long after.
Oh, yeah.
Because the one where you push the little button and the front shoots out. Because the front is so much bigger than the backside.
So, I want to know where the Joker got his hands on a fully functioning android.
You know, I always wondered that when I watched this, too. I'm like, sure, the Joker is, like a criminal genius, but is he really a scientific genius?
Oh, I doubt that it's that. He probably just stole it, don't you figure?
Yeah, which I would be interested to know, but...
He probably just dressed it up. Like, I bet he just found a robot and put a clown face on it.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Just put some gloves and a captain's uniform for no reason, just because it's going to be driving a barge.
Yeah, because it's driving a barge. Well, you know, the Joker likes to do things in themes. Yeah. He has a tendency to do that. He's already got his own theme, but then, you know, whenever he, like we talked about the Christmas episode, everything's Christmas in that episode.
Yeah, you know.
So here's everything's naval and it's silly and funny.
I like how the designs of the robots kind of ring true through a lot of these things. And of course, you make the Fleischer reference, but eventually the Hardak look doesn't necessarily look too much different. I was sitting here trying to
think of Hardak. You're right, it is similar.
Just funny, I have this is not related to anything, but I have a humidifier that I bought specifically because it looks like Hardak.
That's great!
My wife's like, which one are we going to get?
One of my favorite lines in the entire series.
You killed Captain Clown.
Joker is legitimately angry about that. I think that's funny. I think it would be easy to argue that Batman killed the giant, fully functioning android pretty easily.
Yeah.
I mean, it was the android's fault for being on top of a giant compactor. I mean, let's be real. He is a big, huge piece of metal.
He could have just thrown things at Batman until he fell in. So.
Yeah, but it's not a it's not a fight that's ultimately unsatisfying. It's fun just to get to see. I think it's one of those early episode things where they're trying to find ways. Maybe they're not even trying. Maybe they just thought, let's throw a robot in here. It's Batman. People accept it. Like they have a reality that seems semi-grounded, but then they can do things like that, and we don't really question it, right? Like it's a heightened universe, so. They can have things like that, but then ultimately the main players involved seem like they could be real people. They could really exist. The Joker could exist. He's just a guy that fell in a vat of chemicals.
I just gotta say that I love the fact that Batman takes off his gas mask, because obviously he knows where the Joker has been storing all of his gas fumes.
Yeah, and obviously inside of a chemical factory is the last place where you'd want to be wearing a gas mask.
Yeah, that would be silly.
Earlier I said that the Joker was like actually legitimately angry about Batman killing Captain Clown, but I always wonder sometimes when Joker like gets a rise of intense emotion, of angry emotion, if he's not just putting on an act to continue to further that that air of unpredictability. Yeah. Because right after that, he sits on the robot cube laughing. So how upset is he really about this?
That's a terrific point. I love that he emotes so much, but I never think that he's ever being serious.
No, good call. But see, he's I guess there, for a second he was able to convince me, because he's this scary maniacal guy, and if he's really angry about something, you go, oh man, what's he gonna do next?
Yeah, he's just so okay with whatever happens. Like, he's even going face first down this chute.
Oh, man. He can't possibly know what's gonna be on the other side of that, right? Like, has he really explored every inch of this and slid down every one of these slide thingies to know that there's gonna be a rope on the other end of it?
I wonder. I'm like, maybe he's that prepared.
He seemed to really know. He could be that prepared, or he could also just be so insane he doesn't care if he dies.
Yeah, I'm going, maybe Batman comes with me.
Yeah, and this is all just a game for him. He's a kid on a playground. And he treats it like it's not even real, Maybe the idea is that the Joker is, and again, we've seen this in a lot of places, where the Joker is so detached that it's all just a big game. He doesn't care who dies, because for the Joker, in his world, he's the only person that really exists.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, I suppose for the Joker in his world, and I feel like this is a theme that's come along quite often, especially in things like Killing Joke, where the Joker's world includes him, Batman, and playthings.
Yes, and that's great. Yeah,
it's like everyone in the world except for Batman is an action figure, and Batman is the only kid left to play on the playground.
That's it. And it's because it's his exact opposite.
I've always kind of considered, or at least for quite a while, I've considered the Joker and Two-Face to be kind of the flip side of Batman. So, like, the perfect
kind of
representation.
Ways. Yeah.
Because you have, like, the inverse of Batman here with the Joker, and then with Two-Face you have the he looks so upset about it. But is he really don't stop playing. You can't let the game end.
Exactly. I think it's interesting to interpret it that way, and it could be the other way, where he just he
doesn't want to die.
He just doesn't want to die. Yeah. But again, why doesn't he want to die? And the thing about it is, to be fair, we are projecting a little bit because about the whole Batman Joker dynamic, because at this point in the series we haven't seen a lot of that yet. Just in this particular series,
especially on these discs.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Would you agree that this is one of those episodes that, especially being kind of early, that it's less about like a fully realized story and a big character arc, and more just like an action situation? We know Batman's going to win, and we just see the action and see how he wins it. And in that way, it's very much like a Flash or Superman cartoon.
Which, to some extent, you could almost say the thing that just happened is his character arc. Batman finds a sense of humor.
Yeah, sure.
Because he doesn't have one at the beginning. He's all business. Where's the bath? Turn on the radio.
That's right. I forgot about that.
Let's go get the Joker. And
that feels a bit secondary.
Yeah. It feels like it's tacked on, and so often it is.
It's more of a bookend, though, than we don't actually see like an organic development of that. When you get to the end, Batman has an opportunity to display his sense of humor.
Yeah. But at the end of
with the Joker,
when he's fighting the Joker, he starts to show his sense of humor. Now he has the upper hand. He can kind of jokingly let the Joker think that no pun intended. He can jokingly let the Joker think that he's gonna let him die.
But again, that's only right at the end of that action sequence.
Yeah,
it's only at the tail end of it. It's still bookending it. It's still somewhat tacked on. Like you don't see him developing that through it, where like he's having fun at any moment until he's all business until the Joker is rogue.
It's kind of interesting because you look at this Batman who doesn't. He doesn't find his smile until so many of the other smiles in the episode are gone.
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, I didn't think of it like that.
It's kind of
he's won. It's almost as if now he's earned the right to smile.
Yeah, there we go.
Well, Vince, thanks for doing this with me, and we're going to come in again probably next week and do another one for you. In fact, let me real quick get to the menu, and we'll figure out what episode we have next, because I'm curious. Give me just a second.
Those of you who are watching, if you can get to the menu first, you'll know.
Anyway, next time we're going to watch Pretty Poison, which of course is the introduction to Poison Ivy, so that'll be fun. We'll do that. And anyway, in the meantime, thanks very much for listening. Please leave comments. I'd like to know what people think of this format as opposed to the other one we were doing. Hope you don't mind these as commentaries. I really enjoy watching these with Vince, so this is kind of a fun way to do this. So hopefully you guys like it this way as well.
I usually enjoy watching these with my eyes, but that's just me.
Thanks again for watching. I'm Captain Logan.
And I'm Vince.